Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Town of Manlius Board meeting for October 22nd, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. As always, we are live in person, we're running a Zoom, and this is being broadcast to Facebook and to YouTube. If you are interested in joining our meetings remotely, you can find the instructions at the top of each of our agendas. They look virtual meeting instructions. And with that, I will ask Councilor Taliano to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And then we are going to swear in one of our newest officers.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, I appreciate this. As your chief of police, my name is Jason Casalia. It is my privilege to introduce one of our newest police officers. But before I introduce him, I'm going to tell you who's the most important folks in the room when it comes to him. Is Kelly. Give everybody a wave. There's Kelly, there's Lila. How old are you, Lila? 5. And then we have Sawyer, who's 1. Finding out to give me a fist bump. So I'm really excited. Just very, very excited to have you here. So to introduce Artur Kurilko. Artur was born in Vilnius. Vilnius? Am I doing that all right? Lithuania, on the border of Belarus. Artur's grandparents moved to the United States, and 5 years later, Artur and his parents moved here, and his siblings, and they moved to Utica. He was 12 years old when he came to the country. Artur graduated high school in New York Mills, attended college locally, and he has an associate's in criminal justice. Artur worked in the corrections field and later on the policing side of the Oneida County Sheriff's Office. And he has 4 years of police experience when he arrived here, and he successfully completed our field training program as a transfer police officer. I'm going to give you 2 facts real quick. Artur is an outstanding worker. He made a flag that hangs in the police department, completely out of wood, and it's actually, when you look at it, it's waving. It's phenomenal, and we appreciated that when he joined us. And 2, he has tremendous language ability, and I think that members in our jurisdiction already came to understand the value of that when he was on call for service. And one of the people there only spoke Russian, and Artur immediately was in the conversation and was able to take care of business. We're just so proud to have him. He's a very hard worker, and he's just a great addition to our organization as we move forward. So Artur, I'm going to ask you and your family to step up here for our town clerk, Carrie Graveldi, who will administer the oath in public.
You guys stand next to me. I just need Dad's right hand. Raise your right hand for me. Just repeat the best for me. I, Artur Kurilko, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer according to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
One without.
One without,
The
okay.
pretty one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Look this way, kiddo. Smile. Perfect, then we're gonna get you in. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
That's the best part of it.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
So appreciate you being here. Take care of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
He has to carry that on duty.
Okay, so next up, we have open podium. I see a couple people have signed up. I just wanna say, we do have a public hearing later on for the tax cap override, so if your comments are about the tax cap override, we just ask you to hold on to those for now, but first up is, Robin, Ayo.
And someone explained that to me today too. Yes, I have two questions about it. I just had some comments if that's possible. We've been coming to this for a few months, my husband and I. And it's pretty interesting how everything is going. I'd like to thank actually you for being the only one coming up to us to introduce yourself. I thought that was, I'm just saying all these things that come in mind. I thought that was nice. That you, you know, I'm kind of gonna scratch the surface of a lot of things. I had all these things, but this isn't, you know, place for everything. You know, the $40 million building, we're not so much talking about today. I just want to know, is there a point where we're gonna stop talking about the $40 million building? Well, $60 million. Is there a point where we're gonna stop talking about it? It's not on the ballot.
It's none of them.
Right, but is there a point that it's kind of a done deal? Does anybody know? Like we're not gonna do it?
So we have an RFP out to work with a consultant to work on a public process, put together a steering committee and look at the assessments that have been done so far of this building and the speculative $40 million building. What that group is gonna do is problem solve and try to come up with what's the best solution. The police department is in a space that's too small and in need of expansion. I think others can speak more specifically about the needs of the police department. This building, if we were to stay, would need between $9 and $12 million worth of work to make it ADA accommodating, to bring the court up to speed, to address the roof that has been patched for a couple of decades, and to address the leaky foundation. So either way, we'll need to do something to address the workspaces.
When you said you're getting someone to write down or do a report, maybe on this place and then the new place, right?
So we already have a lot of reports, so what we want to do is bring a group together that will look at those reports. Also provide some education for the public, because not everyone comes to meetings, not everyone is aware that there are things to be addressed in both of those spaces. So it's about public education, brainstorming, and coming up with the best options possible and making a recommendation. Here's how I think you can solve the issue at the two spaces.
So of the people that are talking to you about these two things, I guess, I don't know how it's is that gonna come up for a vote? I'm not sure. You said this is $9 million to fix this place.
Right. That was the estimate that we were given.
That was the estimate, so
Yeah.
they don't have to do another report on it, they know how much it's gonna cost to do this,
That's
right?
the idea, the reports are done.
Those are done. So it'll be 9 million, and that to you is okay, I mean, but bring in an ABA, what does that stand for?
So that's making it accessible to people who are older, have mobility issues, may have a permanent disability. It can be someone using crutches, so we're required.
Now, are you gonna make that public? But that seems a little excessive to me.
Because the whole point of what Ingrid is referring to is a whole public process, like what we talked about at the library or at the village hall.
Right.
It's to create the committee that you were interested in being a part of.
And so all of those documents are on our website currently. So there's an RFP on our website to get a consultant who would organize this process, who would schedule the public meetings, who would bring people together to discuss and problem solve and brainstorm about how do we do this in the most cost effective way? Because it's a lot of money.
The maintenance of this place. I know the roof was leaking. I'm just thinking, if something goes wrong in my house, I fix it. Right, and that I'm just questioning why this wasn't done. Basically, why it wasn't maintained, because if you go someplace else, and you sell this. Do you have to, maintain, or do you have to make the roof not leak? I get that, it's very, it has not been maintained, I have to maintain my house.
Yeah, we're not, we can't get into the whole thing. This is your chance to, this, your concern, but that is the process that Ingrid is gonna work.
Right.
And the questions that you're asking, we don't have the answers yet. That's why we are trying to start this process so that we can, together with the public as a part of a committee, figure out what are all the questions and then answer them. Because like we have ideas and we've talked about those ideas. But the questions that you're asking are valid questions. We don't have all the answers yet. That's why we're gonna try to start this
Would you
process.
have the one down, just asking why this was?
Well,
Write that down, I guess.
I've only been here for 6 years and this has been going back decades, so I can't really speak to that. Anything before that. And since we got elected, we've been trying to fix the problems.
I know, so this is a very long process.
Yeah,
And in the meantime, things I realize that the work is going in.
Yeah.
In the meantime, it's really going to.
it would have been a lot cheaper if it were maintained over time, but that we're kind of stuck where we are now with this is the situation. And then this process that Ingrid has outlined.
But in 6 years, we're gonna come to help them. Yeah.
We did do quite a bit of work over the last 6 years, but it's not enough to fix it all. There was because it would have required millions of dollars. So that's what we've been trying to get to the point where we're ready to do
It's
that.
hard to keep hearing about the 40 million and it's gonna be. Then I know people, we talk to people about this, and there's people literally losing their house. So because of these taxes and because of how much that's gonna be, my kids' kids are gonna be paying, so I'm thinking, okay. So that's my observation, concern.
So we'll have to stop you there for time, because it's about 3 minutes.
That's fine.
We can talk afterwards too, if you'd like.
That's fine.
Joan?
Joan Pelletier.
Close,
Mhm.
volunteer. I just have some general, concerns that I wanna put out there that I'm sure a lot of people share, and I brought them to you before. I'm gonna bring them to you again, and again, and again, and again. So we're looking at some projects that you wanna do this year, which would be another increase of about what, 18%? That's gonna bring you up in the past 3 years of a total of 50% increase on our taxes. Now, you just talked about a roof that hasn't been repaired. Where the H did that money go? You must be so wealthy that when you walk in someplace, you have a deep pocket and you just pull out the money. It's, if I want it, I get it. Where did that 50% tax hike go? Why do you not have a reserve? Why have these things not been taken care of? There's no transparency here. There's no accountability. We need a responsible budget. How much time have you spent trying to cut waste? And I'm sure if we had an audit here, there'd be a heck of a lot of waste. Your community members are suffering. Another friend has moved out of the Homewood area just since the first meeting I spoke. And it's because of taxes. You have businesses leaving the area now. Small businesses, restaurants, little coffee shops, because of the tax hikes that are being put upon them by this board and the school board. You're gonna lose your residents, and then what are you gonna be left with? A building that will be empty. And houses where the bank will have foreclosed and they'll be falling apart, and there's plenty of them right now, right here in the village, that are empty and have been empty for 4 or 5 years now. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's not grounded in reality. Did you never read as children the story of the grasshopper and the ants? You just want to keep spending, spending, spending. How about putting on the brakes here
and finding where you can cut some things so that it's not such a burden on us. We're paying you a salary to take care of us. You're not taking care of us. It's not right. And I have another issue. When I spoke the first time, I asked about that darn assessor. You said you were gonna replace him. I said, we will be informed. Yes, we will. Now I've heard that there is an assessor that's been put in place without any of us knowing. Should an assessor candidate be at least introduced to the people at the board meeting where he's going to be working? The last one didn't even live in Manlius. He didn't even live in our county. He lived in North Syracuse, for God's sakes. What does he care? This is, where's your reason? I had second graders with more reason. I can't get over it. And you told me directly, Mr. Deere, yes, we will be doing that before we hire anyone. You did, and I bet we could go back to the video and see it. It's absolutely ridiculous. You ask anyone in New York State whether or not an assessor has been introduced to their community members, and the answer is yes. Because you know what? He's gonna have a lot more support. I can tell you, yes, an assessor candidate should be introduced to the citizens of the community. While the role is highly technical, public engagement helps voters and community members and taxpayers make informed decisions, understand their property assessments, and hold officials accountable. You're not accountable. I wish an audit could be done. I really do. I think it's way overdue for you and the school board. Because you are not, you're losing your voter confidence in here. There's no clarification. People ask you things, you don't give clear answers. We have come back to it over and over again. You know what I wish? I wish we had the $50,000 you spent on blueprints to help some of your community members here buy their Thanksgiving dinner, for God's sakes. You
I'm gonna have to
people,
stop you for time. Okay?
yeah, I bet. 50%, Mr. Deere, 50% in 3 years. Wrong.
Gonna give a presentation that explains it. Thank you.
There's no reason for it. None. Not that much.
That's fine.
Not that much.
Okay, Bill Lane?
I'd like to know, Mr. Deere, if you run your checkbook at home the way you do the towns.
No, I don't.
I would hope
The
not,
town is
because
a
you
huge
do
organization.
you know,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. If you're gonna, at home, if we need something, we worked some overtime or we saved our money to get it. We just didn't go out and take a loan. It's not the way you do this, okay? You know, I look at this thing here and I wonder why you're hiring us company to plow snow. What are they plowing?
The snow at this facility.
What's wrong with the DPW? The town of Manlius doesn't have a DPW?
They're highway department.
Okay, they have snow plow, they have snow.
Okay, okay. Listen, if we wanna have a meeting tonight where we have a conversation, we can do that. If we just want to yell at each other for 90 minutes, we can also do that. If you would like to make your comments, we will then address them.
Right,
So please finish your comment.
all right, but why are you hiring an outside company to plow snow? We have a perfectly capable highway department, whatever you wanna call it. You have 3 of them, you have the village of Fayetteville, you have the town of Manlius, and the village of Manlius. They can't plow this parking lot? I go by here this summer, there's a private company mowing your lawn. And that's just a drop of water in the big pond of the waste in this town.
Here.
Okay, it's ridiculous. We have a little 1,900 square foot ranch. On a dead end street and we're paying $10,000 in taxes.
And what percentage of that is the town taxes?
Doesn't matter.
It actually is very relevant, because we only have control over that portion of your tax bill.
I get that, but the bottom line is, we're writing a check for our school district and well, it's 3,500. No, we're assessed at 346,000. 2019, we were assessed at 189,000. So it doesn't matter where the money's going, it's going out of our checking.
You're at,
That's more than.
you're at one
mortgage
municipal
cover was.
government that handles about 20% of your tax bill. The vast majority of it is the school board, and I appreciate your feelings on the school board. But again, I have a budget presentation coming up that's going to explain exactly where the money's going.
Go to the budget and trim the budget. There's a lot of waste,
It's,
and not just town, every town in the state. So why not sit down? I'll gladly do it. I've got 10 people that'll sit down, give me that
We'll set
budget,
up some time next week.
and, oh, it's gonna take weeks to do it. You're not, how many pages is that budget?
Approximately 64.
64? Get a copy of it.
There's software that we would sit with you, that we could look at, that we're not just like pouring over it, over the sheets of paper, that it's easier than that. So if you were interested, I'd be happy to sit down with
Give me
you.
that, I got 10 people
We've
right now.
got, we've actually got a meeting next Wednesday at 5:30,
$30.
where we're all gonna be here to work on the budget and probably go through it pretty much line by line.
I'll be here.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Paul Branson.
I'll wait till after your presentation.
Great, thank you. And I just think to answer the one question about why we don't have our highway workers doing the snow removal here, it's because it's not allowed due to their contract. That's been negotiated in.
That's ridiculous. It is. Change the contract.
they thought snow.
Hey, what are you saying down there?
mow and they mow when they plow, they just don't shovel our sidewalks.
What
They,
do they work for?
the highway department mows our yard and plows our parking lot. The only private company you're saying we
Shoveling the
pay
sidewalk.
is the company that shovels the sidewalk.
How much does that? We have a contract.
Can I say something about that, please?
Go ahead, Mike.
The shoveling, hand shoveling adds an additional liability should one of the town employees be hurt. And by contracting with a service, they're then, we're transferring that liability to the town. If a public employee is hurt and put out on workers' compensation for the rest of their life, that's a significant bump to our budget, a significant expense that we would have to take on. So if it was negotiated as a health and safety risk in their employee contract, that's probably why.
And also,
But-
we're dealing with such a large budget. I'm sure that that's not your main concern. So I don't think we need to split hairs over who's shoveling the sidewalk, right? Like,
No, but it's just,
it's a good example. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think at this point, there's much larger numbers in the budget that we're,
there are. but
yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
There's a lot of little things that add
Yeah.
up to a lot of.
Yeah, no, I just think like for right now, we don't have to believe.
No,
Yeah.
It was just an example.
No, I think it's a good example and with the larger numbers, it's easier to make big cuts there too. Obviously.
I think it's important to understand that the budget that Supervisor Deere is presenting is not the final budget, it's the budget for discussion.
Yeah, this is where we get a really good starting point where we can figure out where we can start making cuts. It's kind of like the budget process started months ago with gathering tons of information, and now we're at the point with this is the starting point for cutting, which I don't think was well communicated. So I saw on Facebook today, a lot of people think this is the final budget, not even close. Like we've already made cuts that just haven't been reflected yet. So I don't want you guys to think that we're not suggesting this for the budget by any stretch of the imagination.
There is a question about how you deal with one.
Yeah, which is valid. I just wanted to clarify that.
You can go with the budget.
But to be clear, this is the file that as of at least yesterday.
Yeah.
Is on the town website.
This is what we have today. We're doing a workshop next week and we'll do another meeting the week after. So it continues to evolve.
And this is something where, like, quite frankly, this is the most people I've ever seen in a budget meeting. Normally no one comes. So this is a really good opportunity for us to hear from you and your creativity of where you think we can cut from the budget.
We think that you're doing our budget. That's probably my thing. We trusted that you could do it well, and now that we see that. I don't care who tax or the assessment. You hired the assessor. So yeah, that is kind of on you. The next one, I don't know what's gonna happen. Well, that's, but that is.
So let me get into the presentation. So you can see here. Nope, you
Zoom in
can't.
at all, because I don't think anyone's gonna be able to see those numbers. It's very grainy and I can barely see it and I'm a foot away from it.
Close that sidebar.
Those numbers that folks can see in the room now. Okay, so kind of right off the bat, you can see the property taxes. So right now we're looking in the A fund. The A fund is inclusive of basically everything we do except for planning and development and our highway department. So this is police, this is town hall, this is everything. So we've got, as of right now, the property tax to be raised is 13.2 million. We've got a number of different revenue sources. I will say this one right here, public safety revenue, that is mostly representative of the CIRO program that we have with FM and ESM, and they pay us back for the cost of those officers. Oh, the school resource officers, the cops that we have in schools. And so you can see there's a number of smaller revenues. State aid this year is down. And then I know this was a point of confusion for some folks. So we went and relabeled these. So the federal aid, that represents the ARPA money that we have been using year over year.
What's our
American Rescue Plan Act. So this was the roughly $2 million that the town received in 2022, I think, that we've put into a number of different projects. And so this is the last time that we'll see that revenue on the budget here, and that's where that revenue is going.
And just to clarify that, it was in the law that we could not use it to offset taxes.
And then here, you'll see the last one is appropriations from the fund balance. So we've had a process with our budgets over the last quite a while, where any overages or any changes or really closing the books for the year, we would pretty much zero everything out, and then that would roll into fund balance. And then what we would do is in the next year's budget, we would appropriate that fund balance and use that to offset the property tax levy. And so when we brought our comptroller on and we started working with the comptroller's office in New York State a little closer, they let us know that that is not a healthy budgeting habit. And so what we've been doing over the past 2 cycles now is to try to reduce those appropriations, because as those appropriations become reduced, they will allow us to rebuild the reserve and get it to the point where the comptroller is happy, which is about 4 months of operating expenses. And then here you can see personnel services. So a big thing about this budget is right here. There's the difference in revenue versus the difference in expenditures, where they're coming from. Again, the $1.2 million between the federal money and the appropriations makes a pretty big gap in that in the property tax levy. And so you can see here for the A fund, again, everything but planning and highway, personal services. So that's going to be mostly salaries and other benefits and things like that. Then we have contractual. So this is where the town is hiring someone coming in. We've got our operational budget. That's mostly facilities. We have some equipment. And then really one of the largest pieces of this budget is the benefits. So we have over 100 employees. About 70 are under one of 2 negotiated union contracts. That stipulates certain levels of insurance that we have to provide for some of the employees. We are self-insured. We work through OSEBA, which I don't know. Do you know? Onondaga County,
Benefits agreement.
oh, great. Ferryman Association, which is basically, we're self-insured. So whatever medical care our employees need, we, through collecting our health insurance costs, we pay for those things directly. We're not part of a larger consortium where we share costs. The only thing with OSEBA is that it allows us to give access to slightly better plans as a group, but everybody in all the town of Manlius employees are paying for all of the town of Manlius employees' healthcare. So as we go down, you can see the A fund, the revenue has grown year over year quite a bit. And the majority of that growth has been through property taxes and also the reduction in the appropriations and the federal money. So keep going. We'll get to expenditures here. So expenditures, it's a little less of a climb over the years, but it is still there. And so what you can see as far as expenditures, this current budget, which is just the A, the B is the part town. So that's your planning board, your zoning board, things like that. And then you have DA and DB. DA is highway winter, DB is highway summer. And so you can see just for the A fund, we're seeing a 4.46% increase in expenditures. And then if we drill down by department or category in this one, you can see that the overall, basically everything that's not within the police department is about $8.1 million. That includes a number of things that really aren't under town hall, but this is a new system and we're working on getting that accounting to be as accurate as possible. And then you can see here that the police department is $7.4 million. And so when we look at spending for the town, the vast majority of it is, well, almost all of it is going to be either between the town hall services and the police department. And as we drill down a little bit further, you can see, so this is by department. So you've got your police department there at 7.3. You've got employee benefits. So this is the benefits of every employee through the town hall, as well as the non-union folks over at the highway department. So it's police, it's all of the departments that are in this building. And it's also every retiree. So as per the contracts that we've had for years, generally speaking, retirees through the police department and the highway department are going to receive benefits over time after they've retired. And so that's where you see just employee benefits alone. So this is health insurance, this is FICA, this is workers' comp. That's all those things are kind of rolled into that one piece. And overall, out of that $16 million in expenditures, almost 8 of it is employee benefits. And so really to say those are pretty fixed costs, as well as health insurance. I know everybody is going to suffer based on the current administration's decisions. Everybody's health insurance is going to go quite up a bit. We're looking at a roughly 12% increase. And we have to provide health insurance and we have to maintain it at a certain level. So it's a pretty fixed cost that comes in year over year. And so that even for the buildings, we have 700,000. A lot of that is actually our tech. We use a firm called Garum that runs our servers, offers help desk, a really great service. Recreation. So as we get into, once you move past the police and the employee benefits, you see these are much, much smaller departments with much, much smaller budgets. And then as we continue through, you can kind of see percentages and really what it works out to this year as far as increases is we are seeing about a 9% increase in the police budget. A lot of that is due to contractual obligations for salaries and benefits. They were able to cut a pretty large amount of that increase out ahead of time due to some really good accounting and management this year. And so you're going to see that the police is going to be about somewhere between $600,000 and $700,000 increase. Employee benefits.
How do the police costs compare to similarly sized municipalities in the state?
I think we run, Sarah, do you know offhand where we run with DeWitt?
I don't know, but we have.
Yeah, so we also are the one most recently to go through contract negotiations. So we are kind of on the forefront of the competitive salaries. But I think compared with DeWitt, we are more expensive per resident. I don't know about per officer though.
Well, and DeWitt, different because they have a much larger commercial property tax base. So they're
Yep.
able to spread their expenses out over a much larger tax base than we are. So even if they're paying their officers comparably, our residents will still have to pay more per resident because we don't have Carrier Circle.
Yeah.
And Erie Boulevard. They've got, so they can tax much more easily than we can because we're mostly residential. So it mostly falls to our residents.
So, and as you can see here, this is by department. The town board last year had a number of the ARPA projects underneath it, so you're seeing a pretty serious reduction in that budget. Everyone else, for the most part, is well within what we would have expected. We did ask all the departments to stay at 3%. We did that where we could. You can see the supervisor were up a little bit due to salaries, but also I forget exactly what it was. I think it was payroll expenses was a good chunk of that. And then you see, like the receiver of taxes, that office is using $118,000 a year to run. Assessors is 270. That is down from last year. But as you can see, I would strongly suggest everybody to take a look at this document. It does give quite a bit of insight into where those increases are. And I was hoping we'd be able to have this sortable. We're working through that with the firm. But if you like using spreadsheets, this is very easily copy and pasted into a spreadsheet. And you can really drill down into the dollars versus the percentages and things like that.
And this is already available on our website for you to click.
This actually is on.
Yeah.
That's what you look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Last year, when you raised our taxes, you needed $1 million for the police department.
Mhm.
Now you need another 600 a year later.
Yeah, so with the highway and the police departments, we have contracts where they negotiate yearly raises, and we do that the last one we did was 3 years ago. I think we're doing it on just about a 3-year cycle. So they negotiate that in as part of their contract. And so, yes, every year we are gonna give we're gonna give all of our employees a raise, but specifically the police department and the highway department are locked into specifically negotiated contracts.
So you paid 1.6 million. You asked for $1 million last year, and now you're up at.
Yeah, it's annualized. So in the contract, it says in year 1, they'll get this much of a raise, and year 2, they'll get this much of a raise. So and that was what was
So
negotiated.
If we're gonna be interactive, can we have the person come to the podium so I can hear?
Oh,
Said where the salary lines all went up by for holiday pay and everything was all a blanket 10% increase. That's from the contract.
I missed the beginning part of your question.
So with the police salaries, when I looked at the police budget request that's posted to the website, almost all the salary associated line items, admirably, with the exception of command staff, was up by 10%, even though headcount is down by 2. So, or maybe it's only down by 1 after today's swearing in, but is that contractually driven or? Because I'm confused at how the accounting's handled.
so what would be considered the 100s, which are salaries, overtime, double time, all those things. All of those for the police department are contractually based, other than like you said, a handful of the command staff and a couple of the civilian members. So then again, here, really, when we take a look at what the increase is coming from, where is that the property tax levy coming from? It's coming from $600 or $600,000 lost in appropriations so that we can start building up our reserves and meet the comptroller's compliance standards. It's coming from about $600,000 to the police department, and then here about $600,000 to employee benefits. So again, most of it is contractual. Some of it is responding to feedback from the comptroller's office, and then again, it's employee benefits, which is a fairly fixed expense. So I would implore everybody to take a deeper look at this. I will pull up the B fund. So the B fund, this is the part town. So this is everything but the villages. And like I said, it really only focuses on planning and development and a few other pieces.
Can you explain for everyone's benefit why we have this fund that excludes the villages?
Yes. So as the town, we have jurisdiction from a code enforcement standpoint of everything outside of the villages. The villages all have their own planning department that takes care of everything within the villages. So what we do as per New York State is we have a separate fund in the budget where we only tax people that aren't in the villages to cover those expenses. But again, those expenses are very minimal. And I will say the goal has been for the last few years, I'll go back to property taxes. So you can see we brought in 140,000, almost 141,000 last year in property taxes. And now this year, because of the development we're looking at, we're only planning, as of right now, to bring in $25,000 in property taxes. So that fund has gone down quite a bit. And as we move, so this is DA, so this is townwide for winter. This is another big ticket item. This is what pays for all the plows to be on the road, all the workers to drive those trucks. And you can see the property taxes have been pretty stable. And again, most of it's going to be personnel. Operational went down a little bit due to some purchases that happen in 2025 that don't have to happen next year, as the same as equipment. And then you can see benefits still has that pretty large increase. While there's a comma moved, it's pretty much the same thing as we saw in the A fund of a pretty significant increase. And then what we did too, in order to lessen the property tax burden for the DA fund, which is townwide, when we took a look at our spending habits on salt in particular, last year we had one of the worst winters we've had in about 5 years. There was a huge salt shortage. It was really not a good situation. But that being said, due to the professionalism of our highway department, we had the salt that we needed at every moment. And then the contract has been negotiated. The price of salt has gone up, I think, about 20%. And that's through the county negotiated contract. And so what we did is usually every year we would budget for the maximum amount of salt we think we'll need. And then any of that money that wasn't spent was kind of rolled back into the fund balance. Where we've ended up is the DA and the DB accounts have a pretty large fund balance due to the last 5 years of being fairly mild winters. Even last year at our worst, you go back 10 years and we've had 5 winters that are worse than that. So what we decided to do in this budget is leverage the fund balance to not tax in January. If we need salt outside of the minimum amount that we've budgeted for, we'll be taking that from fund balance to reduce that reserve again to the levels that the comptroller is looking for.
Is that based off the last 5 years or statistically normal?
So it is all based off of, it's really based off of the last 10 years. And so what we are going to be doing is we're going to be ordering as if we were buying the amount of salt that we would always buy. But we're not taxing for that money because we're going to wait and see if we need it. Because if we need it, we have it in the reserves. And those reserves are pretty much tied up in the highway specific funds. They can't be used anywhere else in town. And so what we're trying to do is responsibly shrink that fund balance to where it needs to be, while also looking ahead and trying to put some reserves aside for equipment. I don't think we can use the DA expenses for any of the facility improvements because it's a shared facility between part town and full town. But we're working on right sizing that fund balance in the DA. And then DB, this is summer. This is all of our paving. This is all of our maintenance in the right of ways, cutting back trees that have fallen or are blocking line of sight issues. And you can see pretty stable, looks like a $20,000 increase in property taxes. Again, personal services, employee benefits, these are going to be the main drivers. And the reason this budget has been able to remain fairly stable is due to some really good planning ahead by our highway department. And so that is the tentative budget, which is the version of the budget that I introduced to the board, I believe, 4 weeks ago. And as we've been going since then, I know specifically Councilor Bollinger has been working very closely with our comptroller to find a number of ways to cut wherever we can. I know at a suggestion of a resident, the comptroller went through and did a line by line through the whole A fund and found a number of very reasonable savings. Nothing huge. The truth is, as far as projects for the 2026 budget, we have holdovers that weren't accomplished in 2025. But there's really no new projects in here that aren't grant funded. Both the Burdick-Genesee corridor study and the zoning study are both majorly grant funded. So, yep.
But it doesn't come from property taxes. Just from the.
Government money, taxpayer plus, this is from schools.
Huh?
Like, so when you said the resource officer money, that's still our money that we gave to the school that then it's still our taxes.
Yeah.
If the public's going to engage, can they please come to the podium so I can hear them on the microphone?
All right, so I will say that that's kind of the overview of the budget that it is currently existing. I believe on the website there are more detail oriented, and if you need more, if you want a more detailed version, I believe it's there. If not, we will get it up there. And then just as prior to jumping into the tax cap override conversation, so I just wanted to kind of give some historical background. I don't know, since 2012, has there been a year we haven't overridden the tax cap? Maybe like once or twice early on. Yeah, so basically what the tax cap is it's a number that's set that if a municipality in New York State is going to go over a 2% budget increase, if they do not pass a tax cap override, what will happen is any budgetary expenses that go over that 2%, it's actually frozen, cannot be spent, and then must be given back to the taxpayers. And so what we do, what the town has done before any of us were on the board, is override the tax cap every year. There's some reasons. If certain things come in over budget and we do need to actually spend that money over 2%, we'll be penalized. We won't be able to spend that money. And so, you know, I think we've often said overriding the property tax cap doesn't mean we're going to go over 2%. This year, that's not true. You know, unless we decide to cut a number of police officers or highway workers or something like that, we are going to be going over that 2% cap. That being said, to kind of understand the scope of this budget, we, as the town, something to the tune of $5 million is what we collect in fire district taxes that we then send to the 3 village fire departments and Kirkville Fire Department. And so without having options for like shoveling, gardening, you know, any of our other professional services where we would go out, do an RFP and try to get the best deal and ideally allow market pressures to keep those costs somewhat reasonable. Every year we have all 3 fire departments come to us and tell us what their budget is. Other than consolidating the fire departments or bidding them against each other, that's really the only option. And we haven't really seen the latter be very productive. We are in active conversations with the villages about possible fire district consolidation. But even just with the budgets that we got for fire protection, that would increase the budget by more than 2%. So village officials are making decisions and they run phenomenal fire departments. Village officials are making decisions that then impact the town taxes. And even if we kept the budget flat, we would still have to override the property tax cap because that is the cost of the fire service that we have in our town. So just a little insight on that. I think Councilor Nicholson has a fun fact about it where the 2% comes from the.
Just generally,
Yeah.
you know, in 2012 was the birth of New York State administering its tax cap on municipalities, and it was tied to consumer price index and inflation, which was 2% at that particular year. And it's a pretty volatile metric. It's kind of a lagging indicator, and it's not really a good place to peg it. But just since the last 4 years, consumer price index annually went up 4.7% in 2021, 8% in 2022, 4.1% in 2023, 2.9 in 2024, and I believe in 2025 we're in Q3, and this consumer price index is something like 2.7, I believe, right now. So there is really not a scenario in which 2% is a reasonable limit.
It is to us.
Well, of course, yes.
The average corporate raise is between 3 and 5% per annum. Like if you're a salaried worker working a real job, and that's if you're lucky.
That's what our non-union
Exactly.
Total
Yes,
this year
agreed.
is 2.5.
Your revenues are up 50% over the last 5 years.
You know, back to the fire department, you need to negotiate what they want. They just send you a bill and you pay it.
They do the same to the schools, by the way. Schools actually did a number that they.
Town of DeWitt did it,
Like I said, we are in active conversations with the villages about consolidation of fire services. That is potentially the best way. And overall, we have in the town of Manlius, we have 4 administrative boards, a town board and 3 village boards. We have 3 DPWs and a highway department. We have 4 fire departments. We have a lot of duplicative services. What you'll notice is that we have 1 police department. That was a decision that was made quite a while ago. Seems to have been a pretty good decision overall.
Yep.
And the hope would be that we can finally get there one day with
When that
other
happened,
government services.
I remember when that happened, as smooth as glue. The only thing that changed was their uniform. Never even knew it.
Thank you. Okay, so with that,
Years ago.
This one gentleman had reserved his right.
oh, yeah, open voting, you have 3 minutes.
All right, so, first off, I'm Paul Branson. Some of you may know me from starting the Firestorm on Facebook. Thank you, Counselor Kreisel, or I'm sorry if I mispronounced any names.
Creasel, but you were very close.
Sorry,
Creasel.
sorry for abusing any names. I'm assuming everybody who's on this board has experience in business and leadership. So I come to you and the themes I want to drive are communication and leadership. In terms of communication, at least up until this exact moment, the way the budget has been communicated is abysmal. I look at the posted budgetary documents, and I'm looking especially at you, Ms. Griveldi. And actually, Chief Casalia, your department actually is the only group that put together an actual presentation calling out why costs were up and things like that. So bravo to your department. Most of the budgetary documents posted, there is almost no consistency in the formatting, tons of use of abbreviations, jargon, costs were increased with no justification. Again, Ms. Griveldi, your office own budget statement overran its budget by a factor of 6. And there's no explanation as to how, and your request for this year is the same amount that you overspent this year. And again, as other people have mentioned, your revenues are up 50% over the last few years. I don't know anybody in this room whose salaries have gone up to match. The data for the budget needs to be presented in a clear manner. Any increases need to be justified in the documents if not in the actual request itself. The presentation needs to be a presentation. The reason I called out Ms. Griveldi is it's just a table that says, last year, this year, the police department asked for almost 14%, but at least they justified. Everybody else has asked for roughly 10%. No, not right now. I only have my 3 minutes. It may be procedural, but the optics of preemptively looking to override the tax cap is exceptionally poor leadership. It means that you're giving up before you've even tried.
It's legally required that we do it that way. It's the state law. And I know it's backwards the first year I was elected
But you have a budget on the screen.
but the state law says that if we don't, and we'll give you your time, we won't cut you off. I'm not taking your time. When I was first elected, I remember being really mad about that. And I felt like someone was trying to pull one over on me the first year I went through this because it doesn't make any sense. You have to pass the override. You don't have to use it. And that was what I just briefly tried to explain on Facebook.
And if that had been even in the agenda or in the document attached to the agenda,
It should have been
I probably would
explained.
have been a lot more calm
Yeah.
before I started looking into the data.
No, I completely understand where you're coming from. You're right to be that angry. It is confusing. I apologize.
But again, 50% increase in revenues and now your budget that was just on screen is requesting another 17.5% on top of that. We all are dealing with inflation. Just today, it was reported that there's a record number of people defaulting on car loans. By most indicators, we're in a recession if it wasn't for the AI bubble. Syracuse.com is reporting that we're expecting 10% higher heating costs this winter. We know that the gridlock in DC is because of the Medicare expiration and our premiums are going to go up. Related to that, I guess I was wrong when I posted on Facebook about the federal funding. But even with any sort of state assistance, if they're going to have to bail out rural hospitals, they're not coming for rich Manlius. You need to do more to find fat in the budget. Ms. Griveldi, your office was requesting a 15% increase in salaries with no explanation posted.
I can explain that for you.
Okay.
So one of my clerks last year, part of her salary was coming out of the planning department because she was working in both departments. This year, she has come fully over to my department. That was the transition. So I have fully taken on the rest of her salary, and it's no longer being taken on by the planning department.
Okay.
So she is fully under my department this year for the budget.
And that would be great to have in the
And
documentation.
I just looked, and the documents that were uploaded were not the documents that were presented. It was the wrong document. So I will upload the correct document so that you can take a look at it first
I'm
thing.
not trying to rip people
No.
apart, but you say, with the transparency, there's numbers, but without any meaning. There's letters and even with the police department, 100s, 200s, 400s. I'm not a cop. I don't know these things.
Sir,
again-
can I address that, please? I'm the the
Liaison.
the clerk's liaison, and we had what you're saying there wasn't any context to all of the information that was posted online. We meet and exceed all notification and communication requirements by law. We exceed it. So listen, we post these, we let people know when they are, we record them. You can watch these presentations. We're all provided with context that can be reviewed. It could be paused. You could take notes. You can write questions and get a hold of us. But it is all there with context.
If you're posting a file that says a presentation and the file is a 2-column table, that's not a presentation. I'm
The
an
presentation
engineer.
is the video.
That's on a daily basis. And I'm assuming anybody here in a leadership role who's been in a leadership role in a business, it's not about the minimum standard. It's about being able to communicate with your constituency who is paying you to do your job. I know you make $45,000 and the rest of the counselors make approximately $15,000 to be here. Because yes, I was able to find that in the town's files. But that in terms of why things are changing year to year, that's what matters when you're proposing in your budget a 17.5% increase in property taxes. Counselor Priestel, and I apologize.
Got it right that time.
You mentioned that the insurance numbers aren't really in the budget yet. So that means if those aren't the final numbers, has anybody in this room ever seen their insurance premiums go down? That's in your Facebook.
Yeah, no,
Just to be clear, the insurance numbers are in the budget.
yeah, there's numbers that we get at the very last minute that that's part of why we have to tax, that was more related to the tax cap. So with the tax, like there's numbers that come in like that, because I'm on the budget and finance committee, so we'll be in meetings with Ann and with Maria, our comptroller, and they'll say we still don't have these yet, and we're waiting for certain things to come in. So that's what I was referring to. And that was more related to the tax cap.
Okay, but similarly, going back to even one, just in my quick survey in the last 36 hours of looking over your budget documents. Similarly, you mentioned that your person came over from the planning department. Then why is the planning department have a 30% increase in their personnel budget? You've got to make it make sense. Why is there a 40% increase in cost for records manager? At last I checked, digital storage is only going down in cost, not up. I know that software as a service licensing for things does get more expensive. But at the same time, when it's very clear that at least for the next 3 years, we're not going to be seeing a dime in federal money, and it's going to curtail our ability to get state money. Your first response should not be pull harder on the assessment tax level, because you're just going to end up with people being, as you've already heard, either leaving the town, businesses leaving the town, or you're gonna have people that are straight up indigent, and regardless of their tax bill, you ain't getting it. So you need to stand up, do your jobs, have the hard conversations. Maybe you need to have separate meetings outside of the monthly minimum and have, and say, where can we cut? Lay out options. Thank you.
And we do have that meeting on Wednesday. No, I just, you
You're
don't,
gonna pay my salary for, so you just asked if we need to have more meetings. We have those meetings scheduled, and we have had
Where was the public notice of that meeting, besides here? So I can try to.
in
look
the
my schedule.
paper. where
Eagle
we are
Bulletin.
To put it.
You get a newspaper?
Yes, I get the Eagle Bulletin. It's our paper. It's free.
It should be on the town website, on the town Facebook group. Come on, man.
It's on our agenda center that you could sign up to receive notifications of our agendas.
That's how I found out about the 17% tax increase. But you have all these social media channels. It takes 2 seconds. I've seen John Deere reading his phone while he's been here. It's not hard. We all do it all the time. My expectations for you are no higher than my employer's expectations for me.
Thank you. We do have the tax cap override public hearing, so I look for a move to waive reading.
Waive reading of the, make the motions, waive the reading of the public notice. Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Motion to open the public hearing.
All those in favor? Aye.
Yeah.
Opposed? Okay, carries. So if anybody is in the Zoom, attendance and would like to speak at the, again, this is about the property tax cap override. If you'd like to speak at the public hearing, please use the raise hand function. And with that, I'll ask that anybody in the first row on this side is here to speak on the property tax cap override. Okay, second row, that
Wait.
side,
Are you? I did, when you said it's in the paper, what paper?
the Eagle Bulletin.
The Eagle Bulletin. Okay. I don't know, you might want to update it.
Anybody in the second row on the side of the building?
Most municipalities use their local paper for the notices.
So do I. Yeah, I know.
My name is Craig Gutzak. And I've been coming to board meetings for about 3+ years. And I want to reflect on part of what some of our colleagues here said. Because I have both an appreciation for what you try to do, as well as the consternation of sometimes how you do it. So this is in no particular order. One thing is process, better process equals better product. And so you hear some of the complaints about process. Let me talk about the tax assessor, which has nothing to do with tax override.
Really would prefer you didn't, it's a public hearing for the property tax.
Well, I chose not to choose an open session because this all gets amalgamated. So I'll do that and you can take me to the woodshed later. So we had a town assessor who resigned on September 29th. You appointed an interim for 1 day and then made that person permanent for 6 years. Which goes and begs the question of what's the process by which you advertised the position, evaluated candidates and made a decision? There may have been a process, but it's not public. And so the reflection of the public's response to a tax assessor, who may well be much better than our previous one, maybe the same, maybe worse, who knows, comes back to how did you come to the decision? And so that's reflected in, I think, some of the budget questions that you hear here and then the tax cap. So Caitlin was explaining, I think, for the first time for many people who are listening, why it is you're required to do this tax cap override, or at least why it's necessary for you to do it. In a way that just in the normal give and take of public information, there's nothing apparent that says that. Now, the problem of the communication is not all on you, but nevertheless, it is a real problem. Because there are many things that you do, some by law, some by required, some by precedent, some by necessity, that underlie some of the decisions you make, but which never become public until and unless there's some public outrage about things. And I don't know how you deal with all that. To be honest, I don't know how you deal with it. Even if you meet the compliance of what are legally required and you exceed those, oftentimes people aren't going to respond until there's something that bores their eyes. And that's what you see often. The libraries is another matter of consolidation that we can talk about, but you have nothing to do with it. We heard someone here a couple of weeks ago speaking about that problem. I'm glad to hear that you are finally considering a fire district that might consolidate the multiple districts that we have. If I came here in 1986, so 39 years, lived in the village of Manlius for 33 of them, and now in the town. And many of the issues were focused on, shall we say, the level of government that is closest to you. And part of the thing you confront is that things that happen in the villages are attributed to you as your responsibility and vice versa. If we started today with what we have as this population center, we wouldn't have 3 villages in a town, which for all intents and purposes are indistinguishable for where the boundaries end and the next one begins. But my friend Mark Batt says we don't want to do that because the villages are important, so I guess that's an issue you have to fight again and again. But that's the real problem. We have duplication of jurisdictions, we have duplication of services. And while we talk consolidation, the talk often exceeds the reality of what is actually done. So I'm sure there was another thing or two that we don't know to say.
You are at time.
I know, but then that's never bothered me. The economies of scale are what you ultimately want to aim for. Your budget doesn't do that only because by the jurisdictional differences that exist among and between the various municipalities in the town, you can't achieve them. I'm sure I spoke to something else, but thank you.
Thank you.
Whatever.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, Matthew Denham, Town Manlius resident. As far as the tax cap goes, I'm really glad you guys gave a reasoning as to why that we've done it, but I think you also use it as a crutch. Just for the fact that we've always done this for the 12 years, doesn't mean we need to keep doing it. I mean, I sent you guys an email a couple of weeks ago where I saw where I could trim it. And that's just from my, looking at it for the last 3 years. That's where I saw things that could be trimmed for it. And it reduced it to $2 million. And you're not going to agree with all my suggestions. No one, we're all different people, will have all different opinions on it. But it can be done. We can balance this budget. Like everyone said, if you look at it over the last couple of years, it's gone up 50%. So there's no reason that we can't stay within 30% increase over the last couple of years and keep it level. So I would actually highly recommend you don't override the tax cap. You give yourself the hard work of the next 4 weeks of being like, we're going to balance this budget. We're going to keep the revenue flat. And that's what you do. That's the job. I know that you guys have said that this budget presented was 4 weeks old. Would have been great if we could have seen where we're at today, because we're pretty sure it's going to fight for the very good. Now, on the flip side of that, I also don't see in this budget the cost of the highway bond. I don't know if I.
The highway what, Matthew?
The $5 million highway bond that we took, we're gonna start paying interest on it this coming year. I don't see that in the budget. And I don't know what that number is, but I haven't seen the highway bond, but I think it's 100,000 probably there the first year or something. I don't mind, so what we see here isn't the full picture, both up and down, but I recommend let's not override the tax cap. Let's set ourselves that limit and let's try to move. Thank you.
This side of the room, first row. Would you like to make a comment in the public hearing? Okay. Second row?
Yeah, Danny, I will, you're talking about this, $40 million building.
It's not with this public hearing, so just to be clear.
Okay, in budget, is your assistant that you hired in the
Yes.
budget? He is in the budget. $45,000 a year. Does anybody know that you hired an assistant?
It's in all the public records of all the meetings we've had. It's in the salaries we adopted at the
Yeah,
beginning
but
of the
when you
year.
hired them, was it public knowledge that you were gonna hire them?
Did we discuss
Yeah,
it?
we hired him at a meeting.
Yeah, we had to vote on
They,
They, yeah, nothing.
the job was posted. And interviews were conducted, and
Okay,
then it was brought to the board for conversation and voted on.
You have an assistant, but you can't even post about stuff on Facebook?
right.
So
You're worried about not, getting a hold of us, but you get a hold of us for the tax bill. Every year. You can get a hold of us then. But they're all worried about that, you can't get a hold of us. We're on your, website all the time.
Last time we don't understand.
anyone else in that row?
I'll let Lane. So.
on the tax. We're coming off with a 24% increase last year. Where are we heading? And when is this gonna stop? My COLA, 2.5. Did you get the 24% increase in your pay? What are you doing to us? And, you know, you're killing us. Yes. Thank you.
I just want, we've been asking for a year or so. We would like a list of the properties in the town that don't pay for.
You mean tax exempt property?
Yeah, is that on the website? I don't know, I don't see it.
We'll talk to the new assessor, and if we can post that, we'll get it posted.
Yeah. I'd like to know how many.
Done.
Is that what,
It's part of it.
you know, to me, it's part of it. To me, you give the Catholic Church tax exempt, they got more money than all of us. Those people don't need it.
That's not our fault.
I know, but you know what I'm saying? I think we could close the gap a little by taking some of those people off tax.
Most of that is federal.
Well, then get the feds down here and rattle their.
If we started trying to tax churches, I think we'd have bigger problems.
Anyone in the next row?
Yeah.
Alright, guys, I'm gonna try to look at
Like,
for New York State. Now, your taxes depend on what our property values are. Unfortunately, 3 years ago, I found out the assessor at that time meets with both the school, the town, to see how much of an increase you need. Whatever can't be made up by state and federal funds. And if there's a shortfall with what the current property assessments are, that's what our assessments.
I don't know where you got the information, if that's true.
Well, I did. And I'm not a person to follow.
I'm sorry that you.
And I am sorry for backdoor actions that are taken in. You know what? She was right. 2%. You need that cap. I can't even begin to tell you the things that we're going without at the grocery store, at the drugstore, our homes. You just can't have it every way. My Medicare was just cut. I have to get a new program that's gonna have less benefits because of the times. I know you wanna have a good health plan for your people, but you know what? I do too, but unfortunately, I'm not gonna get glasses. There's a lot of things. I'm only gonna get preventative death care. I'm not gonna be able to get to. That's the way it is. As long as you don't have that 2% cash, you're gonna think you have money in your pocket and something's gonna come along, and instead of doing some critical thinking and saying, all right, how can we overcome this? What can we do? You're just gonna reach for that. And it's not your money, it's our money. And 50% over 3 years is money. And I'm not gonna blame it on anything, because I've got relatives down south who are paying under $2 for gas, their food prices have not gone up. This has more to do with New York State and the fact that people aren't looking to stop this runaway train, and that's what it is, guys. It's a runaway train. It's just, it doesn't make sense. And as far as the new assessor goes, I'm gonna hit it drum again, because according to New York State, the appointment process goes like this. The individual has to meet minimum qualifications. Normally, that is also conveyed to assessments. It was not. Recommendation and review. The town supervisor or mayor can recommend a candidate and submit those qualifications. Has to go through the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance. Then it has to be approved by the Educational Services. Finally, a vote has to be taken by the town board. And in between all that, these candidates, and notice it's plural, are supposed to be meeting with community members and having an opportunity to engage us, to allow us to ask questions, to talk about his qualifications, to make sure that things are transparent. Because right now, as far as we can see, this assessment process you're saying, well, you know what, during that time when houses were so needy, my goodness, they just, they ballooned up and they were paying $100,000 more for them, so we're gonna reassess it at $100,000. I just took an animal to the vet the other day, and I saw, since 2 weeks ago, 6 more houses for sale. 6. I'm telling you, you're driving citizens. And not just you, the school board too, they are just as responsible. Because they're putting in things that have nothing to do with education, and I'm a teacher. I'm sorry. They don't need a gazebo to go to have downtime. Nor do they need that pool. Right now, I saved for 6 years as a teacher to be able to put a fence around my property. Now, darn it all, save your money if you want to do something. That roof should have been fixed with somewhere within this 50% increase.
The roof is being fixed this year with this.
Well, that's very nice to know, but some of these other things should have been too. With a 50% increase, it should have happened. So again, you just voted that cap away, and you just gave yourself license to just go ahead.
We haven't voted yet.
Good. Because
That
you
was
know
just
what?
the vote to open the public hearing. That wasn't the vote on the tax cap. Just the vote so that we could hear from all of you.
Thank you. But I'm telling you right now, as long as you think you can do it, you will. You'll go over. We're drowning. We're dying here. I'm telling you. Senior Citizen Day at Tops, and I can only speak for my age group, is packed. Packed. Are any of you senior citizens yet?
Counselors on your phones, are you even listening to what's being said?
They're not counselors.
I'm sorry, but you own the budget. Are you not listening to what's going on with your requests?
You know, unfortunately, we have a situation that's developed prior to my arrival, and I've been having conversations with my supervisors.
I understand. I'm also looking at Deputy Town Manager Bly.
I'm a department head. I am not the elected. I'm not here to answer your questions when that I am here for their benefit and your benefit and the security of the room.
But you're also the one that's gonna be having, for example, you have the biggest stake in the budget. You're hearing the hardship. You should be paying attention to seeing, maybe we can cut back on the license plate reader so we reduce our licensing fees. You should be paying attention.
I do pay attention. Thank you.
You're not, you're on your phone and people are talking.
Oh, he's got an emergency.
Oh, please. That's the whole point of having structures. You have deputies and you have lieutenants.
I'm gonna insist that we bring the hearing back in and we all follow decorum of the meeting. If you want to speak on something that has to do with this hearing, please come to the podium and do so. But, we're trying to be respectful of what you want to tell us. So please follow the decorum of the meeting.
You are now very much outside of the rules of decorum, and that's for everyone's benefits, that we can have a productive conversation. I'm gonna have to ask you to not speak out of turn. If you'd like to ask after we're done with the whole round, if you'd like to say more about the property tax cap, you can. But we've got to agree to at least rules of decorum so we can have productive conversations.
So when exactly within one day of this temporary assessor did all of these things take place according to New York State law? Folks,
We did those things prior to appointing.
and he was introduced, and you had more than one candidate, and you were allowed to decide between two, or you just backdoored in somebody else that somebody knew,
Okay,
one
so-
person applied, you did pretty good.
This hearing is about the tax cap. If you'd like to talk about the assessor, we can make it separate.
Well, here's the problem.
But-
If
and
you
you have
don't,
time
if
now.
you put this tax cap on and you need the money, I'm sure he'll make it possible for you, because he'll just raise our assessments.
Come on, now, I have a
I
bind.
have
Absolutely
the
not.
right to finish.
Now you're talking about things not germane to what the
No.
public hearing is.
It does.
You're getting
Because
up.
I'm gonna ask you to leave the podium.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I'm gonna ask you to leave the podium. Your time's over.
This is not crazy for you, down here, this isn't really crazy, this is just a kind of a conversation. let them speak, because this isn't exactly people throwing things at.
No, it's not.
There's.
There's
have
no
to
public
speak
hearing.
to speak.
Even if you take their 2% tax cap and you find you need money. And you say, all right, we're gonna take 7% increase instead of 7. How can we make a bid? Mr. Sussman?
Okay.
That's-
To be, okay, hold on, to be clear, I asked our attorneys this very year to ask, what can we do to influence any of the assessment decisions? And they gave me a memo that made it very clear, there is nothing an elected official of the town board or any other elected official can do to influence how the assessor assesses properties. If that happens in another town, that's great. Here, we follow the law and we don't break the law. So to be clear, when you make insinuations and allegations that things that are illegal and or corrupt are happening, we are pushing back and letting you know that that is not happening. If you
Why
don't
did we
believe
not-
us,
Why did we not have the opportunity to make these?
It's not about the tax cap, and if you'd like to speak about the assessor, we can make that.
is there anybody else who'd like to speak at the public hearing?
I think it's about the tax, or I think it's about the. tax.
No,
I don't know.
Our taxes, our property taxes are figured all on the home sales assessment. That's the bottom line. That's it, guys. You don't have property taxes without having an assessment. of the house.
Be clear, the budget is written agnostic of the assessments. We write the budget that we receive from our department heads that gives us guidance to, they tell us what they need to continue to provide the level of service we've asked them to, that's become expected of the town. No member of this board has a conversation with the assessor, has any consideration of what the total taxable value of the town is. Assessments determine how the pie is sliced. The budget is the pie. It is completely independent of anyone's assessment. Truth be told, we have heard it. Assessments are going up. The truth is, if we cut everybody's assessment by 50%, your taxes would not change. Because if everybody gets cut by 50%, then everyone's proportion of the total taxable value is still equivalent to what it was prior. So when your assessment goes up, it is not a direct correlation of my assessment went up 14%, so therefore my taxes going up 14%. The most important thing to understand about assessments is that all that matters is the percentage your assessment went up relative to the overall assessment. So there are times when you will receive a 12% increase to your assessment, but if the average of the total town taxable is at 14%, you're gonna pay a smaller portion, not a certain particular dollar amount. The portion of the pie that you are on the hook for due to owning the property will actually go down. And the goal, one of the reasons we are very, very proud to be at 100% assessed value is because every year we take a look and see, is every home relative to each other priced fairly? And the goal is to match fair market value. When our assessor, the previous assessor, submitted his assessment rolls to the state and said, this is 100%, they agreed. Towns like Clay that are receiving numerous benefits from the state, the feds, and the county government, they assess their properties at 3%. That means there are properties there that have been assessed 20, 30 years ago and not reassessed since. So when we talk about assessment here, I can appreciate how seeing the assessment go up is not a good feeling. The truth of the matter is, and this is something I've discussed with the assessor, is asking so that people can understand, not just what do you assess at? What is the total taxable? What is the percentage increase of the total taxable? And how is it relevant to your assessment? What matters with assessments is that yours is not going up more than houses that are worth the same. So with that, I'm gonna thank you for your time and ask you to leave the voting.
Okay. I just wanted to, I don't know if I'm gonna address you. I don't know if everyone here knows I was a realtor. Long time ago. As for the assessments. We never, if you bought a house, it might have been reassessed. So everyone knows it might have been reassessed, it probably would be. Never, ever has there been a blanket assessment of everybody's. I've never even heard of that before. I was a realtor, I lived here all my life. I've never heard
Okay,
of a
so-
blanket.
It's not what this public hearing is about, and the truth is, we've been at 100% for
Years.
the
100%
entire
has
time
nothing
the
to do
previous
with
assessor,
any-
the
100%.
entire time the previous assessor was there, we were at 100%. In that time, nothing changed with the policy, with how we do. And again, this is about the property tax.
Well, you were just talking about it, but I'm just saying, I'm just telling them now that I have a question.
Okay,
This is the point of a public hearing is to address the board about
Let's just go over it.
when the topic, okay. So. Thank you.
Well, right, I don't, that's taxes, no. That's not on the thing.
Thank you.
I don't wanna hear it.
So on the top.
You can please meet in the parking lot to discuss it, but it doesn't have to do with the 2%.
Does Ben conflict here? Oh, wait, go ahead.
Okay. 3 minutes.
As on the topic of the tax cap, I would still urge you to accept the challenge to not approve it. This is a time for austerity. We've gotten 50% more in the last 5 years, which is something that any organization would dream of. This is the time to do the hard things, to have the hard conversations, and accept that just like all of us have to do, instead of being a college kid with mom and dad's credit card, to treat our money with the respect it deserves and live within the means of having the windfall of a 50% increase in the last 5 years. Decline the tax cap and find a way to get it done under the tax cap.
Okay, anyone else? No hands on Zoom? For a motion to close the public?
Motion to close the public hearing.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thanks, everybody.
So you're gonna vote in private?
Who said that? No.
Oh.
Tables.
Actually, no, so. Before everyone leaves, I was told by a counselor that we were not gonna vote on this tonight. I am gonna make the motion. So I would like to make a motion to enact local law 2025-6, overriding the property tax cap in the town of Manlius, the first fiscal year 2026. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, all those in favor?
I would like to have a discussion first about.
Or,
As the supervisor mentioned in the very beginning, the fire department budgets that the villages present to us and we have no say over, but are required to provide fire protection for our residents in the towns. Are going to be putting us over this 2% tax cap. It has nothing to do with the town budgets that was just presented to you. The fire department budgets. When your house is on fire, do you want the fire department to arrive? I would think so, because I certainly do. If my house is on fire and burning down, I want them to arrive. But if we don't pass this tax cap override here, they won't show up. We don't have the money to pay for it. That is literally
Is
what.
that like your friend?
What they got.
Is that like
The
your friend
police
who really
department is
wants
more
a
than
town hall?
55% of your budget. Find the money.
Where do you want us to find the money? The fire department.
You want me to do
budgets
your
are
job
over.
for you? I'll put my name on the ballot.
You are more than welcome to run for election. Everybody is more than welcome to run for election, but the fire department budgets are putting us over the tax cap.
a simple question. Are you in favor of reducing the size of the police department?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
I
Appreciate
think
it.
Manlius is overpoliced.
I know,
Okay, thank you.
No.
I.
Okay, that's not the point of the
I
conversation.
know that, but I,
We have a motion, so all those in favor?
I would be in favor of tabling that at this time.
There's a motion before us. So, Councilor Bollinger?
No.
Aye.
No.
No,
No, and Nicholson? Aye.
Mike.
It's Mr.
Mike?
Mr. Aston.
I can't hear you.
Councilor Neshi, how do you vote, for the tax cap?
Aye.
Okay, so the ayes have it. Thank you.
so it's going through.
Yes,
it doesn't mean that the town will go above the tax cap.
Yes, but it only necessarily.
What?
Necessarily doesn't mean that your taxes are going up, and that's what it necessarily doesn't.
No, it doesn't. We could still be below the tax cap. We don't have to use it. I'm not saying like,
Will.
okay,
I'm just trying
very
to,
much. We're gonna move on to the next item on
Clarify.
the agenda.
Well, one second.
hold
John,
on.
Yes.
sorry, we do need a 2/3 vote to override the tax cap, just so you know.
So we failed to override the tax cap.
Could you share with them that it did not pass?
I'll be happy to go.
Thank you, Attorney Tedeschi. Okay. So the vote to override.
Failed.
Fails.
Yes, me too.
Okay. So,
So roll.
okay, so I would just like to say on the public record, to the councilors that voted no to override the tax cap, I would like to see a document that cuts the budget to within 2% of the, if we are simply gonna not vote to override the tax cap, I'm hopeful that we can work together to find that, but I am looking for the leadership to say, how can we will have to reduce the budget from last year to get under the 2% cap. So we will have to cut about $2 million.
Really interested in trying to figure out how we're gonna get lower than what our budget was.
Okay.
We have a budget meeting coming up. That's the time to address those issues.
And I would strongly suggest, in order to get there, reach out to both the chief of the police department, the head of the highway department, as those are truly the only places we have any room to cut employees. And I would ask that you meet as soon as possible so we can discuss who will be fired on January 1st. I would appreciate it. Thank you.
That's essentially what you guys were doing.
Yeah.
They said more, but
Next up on the agenda, we have the Kirkville Fire District. So any questions on this? So, Kirkville Fire differs from the village departments in that they are a fire district. That doesn't require a public hearing. It's also a much smaller budget. So I would look for a motion.
Do we need to, is this a public hearing for them?
No.
Okay, so I'll make a motion, I did go to their public hearing yesterday. Make a motion to approve the Kirkland Fire District budget for 2020.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
are we getting more money for budget?
Okay, let's leave that for now, please. Okay. So that passes. We have adopted the Kirkville Fire budget. So, the next item up here is Lakeview Drive. We received a number of complaints from residents. About, I think mostly, delivery drivers driving too quickly. It is a dead end road. So I've asked the chief of police to put up our, speed monitoring equipment. To make a decision as to whether or not enforcement is needed, and I just wanted to close that loop in public. And we've gotten back to everybody who emailed us, I believe, and if not, we will get back to them. Councilor Bowman, you want to talk about the next one?
So, we have a letter of intent, so the supply chain is better than it was, but we still have some challenges with supply chain. So, we have planned to purchase a 2025 John Deere 644 P-tier well loader. Yeah. Like this big thing that moves dirt. And we were hoping to get it this year, but it's not, so we would like to lock in the 2025 price for a 2026 purchase. And this is a letter of intent to the vendor to hold that until we can buy it next year.
But
Most likely make a motion to approve the highway department letter.
did you read through the specifics?
I'm sorry, to motion to approve the letter of intent signed by Superintendent of Highways for the purchase of one new and unused 2025 or newer John Deere 644 P-tier wheel loader at a cost of $337,83.31 per quote ID 33114596 from 5-Star Equipment.
I have a question. So is this replacing existing equipment or is this meeting a need?
It's replacing an old, which we have a schedule of when things get replaced. Equipment like these last 15, 20 years.
For a second? No, second. Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Let's see.
So I wanted to give people an update. We are working on the climate smart zoning project. But we were still in some negotiation regarding the actual contract language, so we're gonna table this. It doesn't mean we're not going to do it, and just come back.
And then next up, we have the 2025-2026 snow removal, contract. I know our comptroller reached out to try to get a couple different quotes. This looks like it's gonna be the best one. Any other questions?
So this is again for snow shoveling. And the person, the challenge in finding a company is because we have so many evening meetings. It requires a vendor who's willing to come back and shovel in the evening when there's either court or an evening meeting here. So that is not everyone who's willing to do that. And this is a company that we found that it is willing to do that and has the equipment available. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the estimate from Leeds Landscaping for seasonal snow removal shoveling. Rate of $155 per visit, which is up here and down there. Not the stairs, we don't allow the stairs in there. To authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Leeds Landscaping subject to final legal review.
And can I just say, it's, he, his bid was not our person who had last year.
Second. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Absolutely. Okay, motion carries. And then any announcements for the business?
Yes.
Wicked Woods was this past weekend, Saturday the 18th, and it was beautiful weather for the campers there. There was record attendance with 950 cars that went through. Oh, yeah. The line, they had to close the line at 8:30 p.m. And the final car did not drive through until 10:30 p.m. They had 2,600 pounds of food and $508 collected for the CNY Food Bank, and that's over 1,000 pounds of more food than they collected last year. It was a very successful night. And they had some very interesting campsites set up there. There was one of the scariest ones was the 690 and 81 construction project.
Did you get pictures?
There are pictures, but I don't. These I think won't really be there now. I'm sure.
You can run it.
Yes, and $508 equals approximately 3,700 meals. Thanks everyone that attended and participated, and good job to our recreation department. Glad to come up with some very creative problem solving skills there because the car broke down in the line.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Abs.
Yes.
Any other announcements?
People left, okay. So I did want to let people know that the project to evaluate the Burdick Street corridor, so Genesee, Burdick, the sort of main part of this area. We have given that grant to Barton and Judas. We met with them. We're meeting with stakeholders of the individual business owners along that way. We've identified neighborhood representatives from the 3 immediately contiguous neighborhoods, and that we will be doing some evaluation of the potential for business development in that neighborhood and walkability, safety, access, maybe some more housing, different ways of looking at how to have a master plan for that part of the town. And the Village of Fayetteville is a partner in that because portion of that goes along the Village of Fayetteville as well. So I wanted people to know that has started, and you may hear things about things going on, and that's what that's related to. Particularly, it's a very narrow court. It's really Burdick Street and a little bit of Genesee Street toward.
Yes. We've got some minutes to approve.
Morning to approve the minutes from October 18th, 2025, as presented by the Councilor Carrie Gervais.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now check which one.
So I'd like to approve tax credit number 20 in the amount of $981,274.36. The winner is liability insurance, which is over $500.
Second.
Okay, 20 seconds. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. With that, I would entertain a motion for adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Ingrid, all those seconds, all those in favor? Aye. Great, have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you.